Hi everyone and welcome to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. I'm your host delonewolf, and I usually say this at the end of the video, but maybe it's a little bit more efficient to do it now. As the last product for EVE Talk, I always check something extra, and if you have any suggestions about what you would like me to check in EVE Talk, feel free to post that in the comments. I do try to follow up on questions by viewers. So we are here for the market, of course. Let's take a look if I can actually find the regional market window. Here it is. And as always, we will start with plex, and that one is at 40 seconds. Sounds good. And plex are down a little bit, so we're 930, 930 and a half, a little bit above that, actually close to 931 for the sellers, 920 for the buyers. So that's about a 10 million margin there. Still a little low for actual. I feel personally that that's a little low. I'm used to more of a 13-14 million margin, so I do think that there's still some pressure on this, but there's also 11, 6 and 6 of them coming in, so some supply here as well. And you can clearly see now that the upwards movement is stalling. The gap between the 5-day moving average and the 20-day moving average is closing. We're down a little bit week on week, so this could be a top for the plexus, or it could just be a little bit of like wait and see until the next release comes out, and then we could see some actual movement, you know, a little bit of a stalling in the upper trend. Maybe we'll see a last spurt up before the release, once TCP actually comes out with a bit more information on that. They start to drum up the hype drums. Then we could actually see a little spurt up here for plexus. If you expect that, you could try to take advantage of it, but honestly 930 to 940 million is already quite a bit, so I'm not actually going to make a move at these prices. I'm actually hoping that the summer is going to slow down activity a little bit, could cause a pullback, maybe a few good sales as well. That could cause a pullback into the plex price, and I could once again jump in a bit closer to 800 million. I think that's healthier for my wallet. But for now, it looks like the plex are slowly stopping their ascent in price. Let's take a look at the multiple pilot training certificate then. After that big dip here, we can actually see the same thing with plexus stalling at 920 million. So we're looking at 939 for the sellers, 915 for the buyers. That's a much bigger margin. Here you could actually almost make a few trades, but you can also see that the sellers, there's not that many of them. So this is of course also a much smaller market than the plex if you look at the volumes right here on the chart. But similar to plex, it looks like that one is not going up, or at least not as quickly anymore in the last week or so. Then the body risk up one, that one is holding steady at 180 million, but that's really a very unique market. You can see volumes are of around 10. That's it for Jita. That's actually pretty damn low. So yeah, plexus, hopefully that actually means a top here. I would love to see a pullback to make it more affordable and to be able to make an investment myself, to increase my investment. I actually still have a few plex lying around that I bought at 800, but I'd love to see another opportunity to jump in over the summer. Next up, we'll take a look at minerals, and that will be 340. For that one, interestingly enough, we've already seen that titanium pulled back a little bit. Of course, it did go extremely low, heading towards 5.10, and now it's back towards 520 on the chart. 524 for the sellers, 515 for the buyers. Volume wise, I'm still seeing a lot of demand here. Look at that, 1.2 billion, a billion, 600 million, but here we've got 500 million as well. So I'd give the edge to demand, which means that there should be some pressure on the price to go a little bit higher yet. But it is very much possible that we'll see titanium move sideways at in between 520 and 530. These are high-tech minerals. I feel we've not seen any numbers on it since the changes to the mineral composition of nullsec ores, but I actually still think that most of titanium is going to be coming from high-tech anyways. Still a little bit of a pullback. Let's see if that's also happening for pyrite here. I tried, hitting 1080, tried to jump back up towards 11, but now it's already heading back down. The 20-day moving average still seems to be straight down towards 10.8 ISK. We're talking 10.9 for the sellers, 1092, that's not this one, 1066 for the buyers. and supply demand here, you do have 650 million units being bought here, but 185, and those are pretty recent as well. There is still some pressure on this, to be honest, so I'm still seeing the 5-day moving average below the 20-day moving average, and it could actually still drag down towards 10.8. It looks to me like for pyrite the 11 price mark has definitely been broken, and that we could stay below that for the foreseeable time now. Next up, Mexalon, of course. That one, again, very similar, you know, you were going very low and then pulling back. Actually invested a little bit in minerals, and it could turn out that could have been a very good investment. But maybe the 1 month chart could be a pretty good one here as well. 5-day and 20-day moving average meeting each other. What does the supply demand look like here? Half this page is new. 26 million is pretty big, the rest is rather small, but over here all of these are older orders and it's only small ones that are coming in here, so that doesn't look good. Honestly, this could start to go back down by next week. Let's have a quick look here at the pyrite chart. You can see that one tried to reach 20-day moving average, but now we're heading back down again. And here for titanium, pretty similar, they're meeting right here. What's gonna happen, hard to say. Here at least, but maybe I should look at, well, that's a really big recent order, so this could be 514 on the chart. Well, that's right here. So no, honestly, I think there's a very good chance that we could be going back down here again with the isogen. Very similar, hitting a very low bottom of 101, trying to go back up, but you can see that we're already trending back down for isogen as well. Here's a 6-month chart, that doesn't look that good either. And supply demand here, let's take a look. There's some recent ones all over the place, which is kind of weird. You're still getting 10 and 20 million here, but 35 million is at 102.55. 0.22, I'm sorry, so that's quite a bit lower. That one is decently recent, the rest is smaller, so it's very hard to tell. There are a few big, really big orders that could cause a bit of a floor to happen, but honestly I think that the momentum is going to keep dragging these high-sec minerals lower and lower. Here is the Noxium chart then. Very similar again, except that the 20-day moving average has been much more stable for a while, so it could be that, let me go for the 1 month chart here, that we will keep moving at like the 525 to 530 price band on average for a little bit. I think that's definitely in the cards for Noxium. It's a little bit different than the previous 4 ones, which are obviously the main high-sec minerals. You can't get Noxium that easily from high-sec. I think it's just one specific ore that yields that. So 526 for the buyers, 531 for the sellers. Supply demand here, that actually looks pretty even. 3.5, 3.8, 5 million here, 13 million here. So I think Noxium is set for sideways movement, but the other ones, I'm afraid we could pull back even lower. Next up we'll have Zydrine for the null-sec ones. Those are actually breaking out again, and we already saw probably from the ticker that Megasite is one of the biggest mover percentage wise. Titanium seems to have been doing the same, actually managing to break out. We're currently looking at 1538 ISK for the sellers and 1493 for the buyers. I doubt they'll be able to keep this below 1500 for long. There's just quite a bit of momentum for these ores. I guess any more production means, yeah, you need more Zydrine since the changes, you need more Megasite since the changes, and if you want to build stuff you need more of it. There is more demand for this, and as the price is actually still going up. Next up here we've got Megasite. You can clearly see that one has been breaking out. It's been trying to maintain a price band of 2000 to 2200, but now for the sellers we're looking at 2270 and then 2215 for the buyers, above that already. So I think yeah, we could see even higher prices for the foreseeable future for Megasite and for Zydrine. So overall this could actually average out to a normal situation for production. That is the market at work, of course. Next up, Tech One chip. Let's take a look. 940 at the impact on those. So here's the Apocalypse. I was a little bit afraid here with that double top close to 182 if it was actually going to maintain a price, but no, it's actually correcting back to 178. It's still a bit higher than the average, I would say, before the mineral changes, but here this does seem to have some momentum here as well. Still 48 of them coming in, 14 here, 6, 8, more supply than demand, so we could actually go back towards the 176, I think, if this has some legs and people still bring in a couple more Apocalypse battleships. So okay, at least it doesn't look like the Apocalypse is going to maintain that higher price of 182. Next up here, the Caracal. Caracals do get bought out on a regular basis due to some large alliances fielding many fleets of them and then actually replacing them through their alliance wallets. So this is why you're seeing these lovely peaks. So the Caracal could be a good one to produce and just wait for that right opportunity, but now we're heading back down towards 1160. It's definitely true though that we're averaging way higher, about 1 million higher, so that's 10% higher since the mineral changes here on the Caracal. Here's the Dominix though, that one is showing you a different picture, actually breaking 190 now. We're looking at 191 for the sellers and 185 for the buyers. You can pick up a Dominix below 190 million, which for the 6 months here is a pretty low point. So Galente ships, it is possible that those are coming out of vogue a little bit because of all of the work that CCP is doing to drones at the moment. They're actually in sight for the Nerf hammer and or the Nerf bat, and so this could be why we do see other ships that are actually able to maintain a higher price, a higher average price, but the Dominix does not. Here's the Myrmidon then, average between 51-52 million here. We're still touching that on a regular basis, but it's actually coming up quite substantially here again towards 55 million. Does that mean that there's not that much supply? Well, there's still some coming in, 12, 8 people. But look at that, the entire front page here is full of recent orders, and so it actually hit 56-57 million, then supplies coming back in as a response to this. So this will be short-lived, but it was a good opportunity to bring some Myrmidons to the market not that long ago. So I'm guessing there was someone with a lot of demand for Myrmidons all of a sudden. Here's the Stabber chart. Glad to see that one back to the normal 10.5 million. That does mean that there is at least still some stability in the Tech 1 market, although I must say most of them that I checked do have these big spikes. But on cruisers, you know, that's something you can buy in bulk, make a fleet out of it, lose it, and then buy another bulk of them. So that is probably what's happening here. Back to 10.5 where we were 6 months ago. That's okay for the Stabber. Here's the Tornado. That one has clearly become more expensive and now stable at around 72 million, where we were, I would say, 66 before that and before the mineral changes. So this one has clearly had an impact, and the Tornado, it's right there. Maybe it really needs a lot of Megasite and Zydrine historically already. Doubling the amount needed could cause this jump up in price. It's a possibility, I think. And then we get the Vexor, another Galente ship. You can clearly see that one is still averaging 11.2 to 11.4 million. We're right back there. So I actually think that for some reason the Galente ships, maybe they're being produced more than demanded or something like that at the moment. That's possible as well. But the risk of a switch to different metas, I think, is very real as well. So that's the Tech 1 ships. You know, overall still looks like a really stable market. You know pretty much what you're gonna have to pay for any Tech 1 ship at the moment, and it's just a matter of days when any spikes get filled up with production and supply to the market to try and take advantage of higher prices. It's a cutthroat market, that Tech 1 market. It's very hard if you don't produce at the absolute best margins to actually make any money in there, and despite that there is still huge supply coming in, plenty of supply for the market to absorb. So that's all pretty good in my book. Next up, Tech 2 market, 1420. Let's take a look. A lot of them had their spike. Unfortunately, that's over, so it's waiting for the next buy opportunity. I would love to see the chart break 180 again for the basics before I call on. Yeah, you should probably buy them. So not the time in my book, but yeah, 180, 175 even, up to 215. That was a nice little spike where you could have made some money. Here's the Guardian. That was actually working on a more sustainable rise up to 140. So this drop to 115 was obviously where you should have bought as much as possible. because you can still sell them for even better price. I sold a little bit early, I think close to the 135 here on that increase in price. Could have waited it out, but you never know. Of course, Take-Two market can be very volatile. You never know when all of a sudden this goes way back down. What I do think could be increasing volatility in the logistic cruisers is the new sovereignty system. So you will probably need smaller independent fleets to take all of those different nodes, and I do think that Take-Two logistics could play a big role in that. So I think that's why we could see maybe higher prices, but also higher volatility in this market. Next up, the Hound here. No, I wouldn't be investing in that just yet, although it does seem to be dropping back down. If it goes back down below 16 million, unfortunately we need the buyers to be even lower than that, I think, before I make another move on the Hound, because that one did not show a sell opportunity, by the way. The Hound right here, very timid increase in price here. I haven't sold mine yet. Here is the Manticore dropping off after a very nice opportunity, as low as 21 million and then up to 25 million, 4 million. That's not bad on a 21 million purchase, but it is going back down, of course. That opportunity is over, unfortunately. And I'm always a little bit sketchy about the Manticore because it is higher than all of the other stealth bombers. Why would you buy Manticores when you can perfectly fly a Nemesis? Little reason to do that in my opinion, but okay. The Manticore, you have to keep an eye on the bottom close to 21 million, whereas the Nemesis went as low as 18 million, almost 2 times, and now it's back up to 22.5 million. So you could have definitely, this is a second opportunity for you to sell Nemesises if you bottom close to these two bottoms right here. So that market is still alive and ongoing. Here is the Oneros then, that lovely little spike. Unfortunately, I'd love to see it close to 140 to tell you to that you have another buy opportunity on your hands, so nope. And then the Purifier, yeah, still a little bit too high as well to buy anything. You could sell the Purifiers if you still have them, I think, at these prices. And then finally here the Scimitar, also working its way up a little bit. Bottoms close to 115, and now we're looking at 130. That's not bad. Of course, historically speaking, this could be right smack in the middle of where the Scimitar should be, and this buying opportunity is over. We could see spikes if, as I said, the new sovereignty causes much more use for Take-Two logistics cruisers and losses as well. That could be great for the volatility of this market and for the traders then, of course. So yeah, that's it for the Take-Two market. I'm not seeing that many buying opportunities. It is coming back alive, I think, at the moment. So you have to either be very short on the ball or wait for the right opportunity to jump in. Next up, the Tech3 market. 1755. It's actually been a while since I've kept that under 20 minutes, quite surprising. But let's take a look here. Confessor, we'll start with the destroyers here. Confessor, just that's stable. The Jackdaw is 35 to 37 million. Pretty much found its price. Just look at the huge supply numbers that's still coming in very big numbers. And here's the Zwiepel then 36 to 33 million. So yeah, those quickly find their price below 40 million. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the new one, the Galente one, jump below 40 million on the first week, considering how fast it's been going every time a new one has come out here. People are just ready to bring that stuff to the market right away. You know, they've got the reserves, they are ready to do it, and they've got the experience as well, of course. So yeah, the Tech3 destroyers, I mean, there's bound to be a margin there. There's bound to be some profit because they're still coming in at these numbers, but this is very affordable, and I definitely look forward to the Hecate as well. That's one that I am going to buy a few myself. They just look so good, those Hecates. Unbelievable. But let's take a look at the cruisers. That could be more interesting because almost all of them tried to work their way up last week, and as you can see here for the Legion, it's almost over. 5-day moving average coming back towards the 20-day moving average. Let's take a look at supply. 10, 16, 7, 7, 8. There is quite a bit of supply, less than a day old, so this increases the pressure. I wouldn't be surprised if we cross this and go all the way back towards 140 in a short order. Next up here, the Loki, that one's managing to maintain at 160. Let's see if there's some pressure though. Look at that, 100 of them ready. So that one will never really break 162 in a short time unless someone comes in and buys 200 Lokis all of a sudden. And recent supply, not that much, which is the reason why it's actually managing to maintain the price at the moment. If people see this as the Legion, they can sell those for 160 and pretty soon probably lower. The Loki, they can sell those for below 160. I think that's why they're making a move on the Legion and not on the Loki at the moment, because that price is still higher. But once the Legion drops down, dragged down by the momentum, I think they'll fill in the Loki market pretty soon. Here's the Proteus then, against the grain. That one is still going up a little bit, breaking 160, but you can see the response a little bit right here, 13, 17, 22. A lot of competition in that seller's market, so I think that this could start going down next week. And then finally the Tengu, you may have seen that on the ticker already. That one is really going down, breaking the 20-day moving average, heading back down towards 150. And yet we still see 50 and 41 of them coming in. So a couple of big players went in there, tried to take advantage of the higher prices, causing a serious decrease all of a sudden. And so the Tengu back down after a top to 160, and I think the other ones will just follow suit in the upcoming weeks, to be honest. And then finally, for the extra good this week, I actually got a suggestion, so that's pretty good. And 2120 for that. Someone asked to take a look at the Drake and the Ishtar with all the nerfs and those new missile mods that are coming. But I think if I read it correctly on Reddit, that there is actually a bit of a nerf coming in as well for the damage application of missiles. So it could be a bit of a wrong picture. But let's start with Hax, Heavy Assault Cruiser, Galente. Here is the Ishtar. Let's take a look at the Ishtar chart here. It is clearly going down though, where you used to have to pay 190, 180 and 175 for an Ishtar for quite a while in the first 3 months. Here we are clearly breaking the mold here and heading back down. 20-day moving average being dragged down here as well. So we're currently looking at 165.5, and look at the supply. That's still pretty big in supply numbers, although not that much of it is very recent. But there, I would say that there is some pressure on the Ishtar due to all of the changes. You know, the Ishtar is the most popular ship in PvE and PvP. It does so much more damage than all of the other ships that it is right in the crosshairs for some nerfs, and it's only normal, honestly. The damage application that the Ishtar can do, it can really finish off some PvE sites. You know, that's how I use it mostly, to do some combat sites in just so much more efficiently than anything else you can fly. The Ishtar is probably in need of even more nerfs than what it has now. Honestly, I would not be surprised if at some point CCP is forced to just go the drastic route and say, okay, no more sentry drones for the Ishtar or something like that, because they're actually giving it an extra low slot, which for what I'm doing means that it's not really a nerf, because I'm gonna have to lose the cargo scanner, but I can get an extra drone damage amplifier negating the nerf to that mod. So honestly, I feel that at some point that drastic nerf is coming though, and then we'll see the Ishtar drop off even more than it is already. But you can see the pressure on the Ishtar price at the moment. I do think with that decrease in price here, try to go back up, but it's going down. It's slowly going down. And then next up, the other one was gonna be the Drake. Let's see if that one battle cruiser is what I'm looking for. Standard Caldari. So here's the Drake. Honestly, yeah, a little bit of an increase in price for the Drake, starting at 48 million 6 months ago. We're currently looking at 51 to 52 million for a Drake. The 20-day moving average, you can clearly see that one has been going up. And so I think those new missile mods for a Drake platform could really help. It could help with the versatility of what it can apply damage to. Let's take a look at the attributes as well. If I'm not mistaken, it's actually has quite a few launchers, 2, 4, 6 launchers. So it used to have more, I think. But there's a lot you can do with 6 launchers and 6 medium slots and still 4 low slots. So I think that the Drake could find its uses again if missile weapon system does receive some boost or becomes the next meta because of the change that CCP wants to do there. But that's still hard to say for sure. If we look at it historically, I'd say maybe it's time for Minmatar to come back in vogue. because those ships could, I think, use some help as well, and that could happen. So I wouldn't bet on the Drake or the missiles becoming the next meta just yet. I would not be surprised if we're gonna actually move from drones to Minmatar ships, but that's just my opinion, of course, and all of that is still speculation at the moment. But very good call. There is definitely pressure on the Ishtar, and there is definitely an increase in price to be seen for the Drake. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for watching as well, and I'll see you all next time.